And now, WJCU University Heights takes a break from the Heights programming to bring you
Jewish Community Radio, and we are live in the studio.
Woo-hoo! Now, we decided not to do bumper music today because if we do it, then we got to comport to the rules of YouTube, and I don't yet fully understand the rules for music and we're allowed to play, we're not allowed to play for bumper. So until we figure that out, even we do live, we're just going to do the show as a, podcastable.
It's basically a podcast, but we're actually live and in person today. And thank you to all the people who've been reaching out to me for information on how to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, thank you. We're starting to grow. It's a slow growth. We don't have a massive following. We just started about a month ago, so it's not going to be taking off for a little bit yet. But we do appreciate everybody who's subscribing and asking about it. Oh, by the way, hi, Yudi. That was from last week, in case he missed the show. Anyhow, I didn't hear from him. So this week, we're going to talk about
Hanukkah.
And that's coming up when?
On Sunday night.
Sunday night, that's right. So
a lot of calendars will say Hanukkah starts Monday. Ignore that. It actually starts Sunday night.
Yeah.
The way holidays work on the Jewish calendar is we start our days the night before at sundown. So if you have a regular non-Jewish calendar, it will say the day after that we've already technically started our holiday. Now, just as information for people, this is not like a holiday like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. If you call me, I will answer the phone.
Who's going to call you?
I have friends.
You have friends? Okay.
Yeah, unlike some people.
Okay. So, I have no friends. It's true. I don't know anybody. Not even the guest in the studio. I don't even know who he is.
So we can... Oh, yeah, who's that?
I don't know. Forget about him. He's just sitting there in the corner. He said he didn't want to talk, so his mic is on, but I told him to raise his hand if he wants to talk. He's sitting there with his arms crossed and kind of getting upset at me for talking about him. He's laughing now.
But it's hard to see with the mask on, but yeah.
Yeah, he's in the corner. You can take the mask off in the studio, by the way, just so you know. Just when you come into the building, but there you go. You notice we don't have them on, right? Good, okay. So see, this is the nice thing about live radio. You can embarrass somebody and not give their name out and just make them suffer in the corner.
So, yes, this is actually very different than other holidays because I still go to work and school. You do too, Fred.
Yeah, that's true. We both play teacher, so it kind of reminds me of the old joke by what's him again? Oh, Welcome Back, Kotter, Gabe Kaplan. He woke up in the morning and said, "I don't want to go to school today. The test today." His wife said, "But honey, you're the teacher."
Oh, no, that joke still happens in my house on a very, very regular basis.
I'm not surprised.
So, yes, this is very different than other holidays because we still go to work and school. And we still go about our daily business. We can still take phone calls. We could still work online. We can do what we need to do. The only restriction is, as always, from Friday night until Saturday night when we celebrate Shabbat.
Yes, Shabbat is not negated by the minor holiday of Hanukkah. And it is a minor holiday. It's, hey, if we don't have holiday days. So I always get a laugh out of it when Christians like to throw a Hanukkah Christmas party. Now, if you're not going to celebrate Passover, do anything for Passover, why do Hanukkah? Don't try to appease me. I don't need to be appeased.
Well, it's also been interesting explaining Hanukkah to people because I work in a mostly non-Jewish school, and now with my daughter going to school with me, there is actually now a Jewish child in the school. So it's been very interesting. People want to include us in the holiday celebrations. I was able to get it moved to the week of Hanukkah instead of it being the week before winter break by explaining to them what we've talked about with, if you're trying to do it after the holiday, please don't bother. They moved it
please.
up. It was awesome. And I said, well, this is where it gets interesting. I said, the most of the celebration is at night. So we're not going to recreate what we do at night. But I said what we can do during the day is I'm going to be making latkes with the students, potato pancakes. I'm going to be teaching them about the game of dreidel and why it's significant. And we're going to be doing the chocolate coins.
Cool.
So we're going to be doing that more of that aspect, and I'll be teaching them about the significance of the Hanukiah, or some people call the Menorah, and how we light it, and just to show them that each day we are adding to the candles. We don't start off with a full Hanukiah, unlike what Rabbi Shammai had wanted to do.
You know what? Let me ask you a question. sorry to interrupt, but since you brought it up, what is the difference between a menorah and a Hanukiah?
A menorah, this is what I used to tell students when I taught Hebrew school. When you look at a lamp, any kind of lamp, light whatsoever, that's also a menorah. The menorah was the 7-branch candelabrum that was in the Holy Temple. And so a menorah is any kind of light. But a Hanukiah is a special kind of light just for Hanukkah because it has 9 branches instead of 7.
So for 8 days, and the one in the middle, which is?
The shamash.
And that's for?
That's called the service candle, the helper candle. That is actually the candle we use to light the other candles. There's a very important rule with the Hanukkah candles. We aren't supposed to use them for their service of light. We use them to advertise the miracle. So what we do is we have that candle for lighting, and we also use that candle to have a light, even though it doesn't really do much, but it's just to make sure we all understand. We're not using this as a regular lamp.
Correct. So we use the shamus candle basically as more or less to say, oh, we're getting the light from this candle, not from the other ones. But the rule of Hanukkah is we're supposed to advertise the miracle. Now, before we talk about the miracle of Hanukkah, let's talk about Hanukkah itself. So Hanukkah is a holiday in which we celebrate the miracle, but Hanukkah did not happen in a matter of 8 days. In fact, the story took place over, it crept in very slowly over about 100 years.
165 BCE approximately.
Yeah. But
156, there's those different years, 156 BCE.
So it started, and then the whole process took over 100 years, about 100 years or so, I think it was. How many years did it take place over?
It was a long time, but it was also a slow progression. What started was that the Hellenizers were trying to destroy our culture as a people. They wanted us to get rid of everything that made us distinct. Kashrut, Shabbat, Torah, everything, and just kind of blend in with all the other cultures that were conquered by the Hellenes, the Greeks. And so it was a slow progression because, as with a lot of things, if you start off slow, it doesn't feel so terrible. Like the story about the frog in the water.
Yeah.
When you have the water going really, really slow and it's simmering, you get comfortable with the heat. You don't really worry about it. And so then you end up getting cooked. But on the other hand, if you bump up the heat really high, really fast, then you go, oh my God, oh, that's hot. Well, I got to get out. So it was. I don't think it was like an overnight, okay, boom, you guys are no longer Jews. You are now this. It was a really slow progression over time.
And a lot of people over time, because it came over generations, started liking it. Well, what's wrong with going to the gym? What's wrong with this? And
what's wrong with not circumcising our sons?
Yeah.
Well, why do we have to circumcise our sons? Like everybody else looks like this.
Yeah. And so what happened was that it was a period of time that it went over, that took place over, and slowly but surely, we ended up with a small ragtag group called the Maccabees, and they decided, you know something? We're not going to put up with this.
We're not going to take it.
Yeah, exactly. So they ended up fighting back, and this small ragtag group. You in the corner. How many people were in the Maccabees? About 100 people or so. About he's
nodding. You can't nod on the radio.
Nod on the radio.
That was the first lesson I learned.
Okay, he gave us the moose ears. He's laughing, but he's laughing in silence. Okay, we should have more often. It's pretty good. We have a silent partner, like Silent J or like Penn and Teller. We'll have our own
Silent
teller.
Bob.
Yeah, Silent Bob. So,
but
he's laughing, by the way, just so people know.
But there were several miracles of Hanukkah. The most commonly one discussed is the story of when we finally won the one specific battle, which got us back our holy temple. There were many, many battles, but this one specific battle. The word Hanukkah means dedication. This is important to understand. Mm-hmm. Dedication. We were rededicating our holy temple to use for us. Not for the worship of Zeus, but for us.
Yeah.
And
we kick Zeus out.
Yeah. So according to the story that we're often told in religious school and Hebrew school, they finally found the special cask of oil, and it only had enough oil to get us through the one day, and by some miracle, it lasted 8 days.
Yes, and 8 days is significant because that's how long it takes at least in those days, I don't know about today, but to take the olives, pick them, crush them, purify them, and get them ready for oil service.
But we also didn't have same-day shipping back then.
Yeah, that company doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of. So, because no, you have to go to the north where they were, or to areas where they were. Okay, remember, there was no cars, so they weren't. Olives were not grown in Jerusalem. I know that in Judea and Samaria, there are a lot of olive trees, a lot of olive farms. In the north, there are a lot of olive farms. I don't know about the south of Israel, but definitely north, and I know definitely the eastern Judea, Samaria areas. They definitely have more higher, rocky kind of hills, and that's really conducive to growing olives.
So it was a little bit of a schlep. It wasn't just regular olive oil. It was like the best olive oil. It was beyond
Pure.
the best olive oil. It was a very, very specific olive oil.
First press, none of the seconds. The first
It was
pressing.
the most valuable olive oil.
And it took time to get it. Then after they press it and purify it and clean it and filter it, then they got to bring it back.
Yeah, and that takes a few days.
Yeah.
But the idea behind it is what we're often taught in religious school is we're taught that it was this was such a great miracle and we celebrated it. However, it was also a holiday that we were getting the opportunity to finally celebrate. We have a holiday already on the Jewish calendar that is 8 days, and people don't really think about it.
Which one's that one?
And that is Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret together.
And also Passover.
Well, if you're in the diaspora.
If you're diaspora, yeah.
Right. Because if you're in the diaspora, Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret is actually 9 days.
Yeah.
So the point is that it was kind of our do-over for Sukkot.
In a sense.
And that's actually in the books of the Maccabees, which again is a very interesting concept. This is how minor of a holiday Hanukkah is, and I was telling this to someone last night. Most of our important biblical festivals are in the Torah. Mm-hmm. In fact, all of them are in the Torah. We have two holidays, not modern day, but I mean two holidays that are not in the Torah. They are away from the Torah. So Purim is for the Book of Esther. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's Tisha B'Av, which is highlighted with the Book of Lamentations, the destruction of the Holy Temple. But the point is, there is nothing about Hanukkah in Tanakh, anywhere in Jewish canon.
Well, there's a little mention in the Talmud, very little mention.
But that's not in Tanakh.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Also, yeah, okay, you're right. But it's also a matter of timing when. Yeah, but okay, go ahead.
So it's not in Tanakh. So anything after a certain point was no longer accepted as canon for Tanakh. So the thing is that the books of the Maccabees are mostly originally written in Greek, Aramaic, whatever, not even necessarily Hebrew. But guess where you can find the books of the Maccabees?
Where?
In a section of the Christian Bible known as the Apocrypha.
Interesting.
So when you go into that, then you get more of the historical details and the background of what actually happened in the Hanukkah story. But then let's go back to that passage that you talked about in the Talmud. That's in Tractate Shabbat. And it's a conversation about different types of Shabbat candles. And then somebody randomly says, hey, Hanukkah, what is Hanukkah? And then they're talking about, well, this is this miraculous time when the oil lasted. And then you think about this for a minute. Why was that miracle highlighted and not the miracle that 100 people were able to overcome the Greek army?
Yeah. And just think about it, okay? Can you imagine 100 people in your neighborhood rising up against the U.S. Army and winning? I don't think so, Tim.
Right. So when you're looking at the context, what was going on also was we also had the Barclaycoba Rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Which was?
That was when people were trying to rise up against the Romans.
Yeah. And
we didn't want to keep encouraging more people to. We were at a place where we were afraid to keep rising up. So that part about the Maccabees got downplayed a little bit. And then it was more highlighted about the miracle of the oil.
And still, this was a uprising by the religious over the secularists. And a lot of people don't really understand that. This was a religious uprising to bring back the religious practice into Judaism, to dump secularism. So it was, in a sense, a civil war amongst the Jews, not just against the Assyrians. So we basically, okay, here's the thing. This is kind of a funny thing. This is my pet peeve, okay? My pet peeve. a lot of times are that the secularists make a very, very big deal over Hanukkah, which is a holiday marking their defeat.
Well, do you know why that is, though?
Why? Tell me why.
In more modern times. Well, this is the story my mom used to tell me, and just as a side note, Refuah Shlema to my mom. But anyway, because she is listening, if she's
Hi, Mom.
So, but my mom told me the story about how, like, the retailers around December were realizing there was a whole untapped market of people that were not buying stuff. And it might have been also because a lot of early retailers happened to be Jewish, but I mean, it became like, you see, there's this gift giving time. And then also Jews have a holiday around that time as well.
So in other words, let's sell more.
And we're going to do this we're going to slap Jewish stars and dreidels and menorahs on packaging and call it for Hanukkah.
Yay, let's sell more. I guess in that sense, it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but still, people understand something very important. Hanukkah is not the Jewish Christmas. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Oh yeah, that's the Jewish Christmas, right? No. It has nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever. We don't celebrate Christmas. We have no connection to Christmas. No, it's
well,
not.
Actually, we do have a weird connection to Christmas I made the argument for once.
Which is?
Well,
I'm confused.
Oh, okay. So we were able to avoid assimilation, correct? We were able to avoid total obliteration into the Greek culture, right?
Correct.
Okay. So here's my theory. My theory is, would Christianity been able to rise and become what it was if it weren't for its roots in Judaism?
Of course not.
Because if Judaism had been destroyed, what would they have based Christianity? What would they have had their roots in? And then ultimately have their festivals and their celebrations. So if you think about it, it's almost like this reverse thing that by us being saved and us being able to still keep our traditions and our customs, ultimately we were able to give rise to a belief system that includes Christmas.
Okay, I am not quite convinced of that one, but
I mean, because every because a lot of cultures around the world have these festivals that celebrate overcoming light over darkness.
But that's another thing, okay? Hanukkah, very, very importantly, okay? So this is my biggest pet peeve of this time of the year. I hate to put those terms, but I'm going to, okay? Hanukkah is not the festival of lights. Whoever started that, I looked up years ago where it came from. It came from a non-Jewish source. Hanukkah is not the festival of lights. We do not ever have a holiday where we celebrate light.
Well, we don't have. Tell that to my daughter that was born during Hanukkah, and her name includes the element of light due to that.
But still, okay, we light candles. The blessing is upon what? The Hadlik Ner Shel Hanukkah, to light the candles of Hanukkah. To light the candles. We don't bless light. But we have, for example, Shabbat candles. We make the blessing on the Hadlik Ner Shel Hanukkah, to light the candles of Hanukkah. Now, there's one time where you can possibly make the argument, but still, it's not what it is. There's one day that happens once every 26 years, which is the Berchas HaChama, when the sun is in the exact position of creation. And we're not blessing the light. Even then, it's not a blessing of light.
It's the blessing of the sun, though.
Of the sun position of creation. It's a blessing of creation, not a blessing of light.
Well, that's actually an important idea to have people understand about when Jewish people are making blessings. We're not sanctifying an object.
Correct.
We're not saying a blessing like tonight during Shabbat when we say the Kiddush or the blessing. There's wine in my cup, but I'm not now through this blessing now making this wine holy enough for me to drink. I'm holding this wine because I'm celebrating that this is Shabbat, and I just happen to be holding this glass of wine. And that's the part to understand. We're not blessing an object. So when I'm saying the Hanukkah blessings, I'm not blessing the menorah. I'm not blessing the candles. I'm blessing the idea.
Also, you brought up a very, very interesting side topic, at least for me. No matter what happens, no matter what rabbi you can think of would probably try it, you cannot bless a pig and make it kosher.
You can't?
No. Can't do that. So people say, it is blessed, it is saved, it is so-and-so, it is kosher now. No, it doesn't work that way.
Well, that's actually because that's the other thing that people don't understand about pigs. It's not that it is the most unholy object in the world. It's just the idea is when we're talking about mammals in the Bible, what's kosher and what's not kosher, the two principles need to be split hooves and chews its cud. Now, I don't know how many know about the biology of a pig. Yes, it has a split hoof, but no, it does not have a ruminant stomach system. Therefore, it does not chew its cud. That is the reason why a pig is not kosher. It's not because we've decided the pig is the most unclean animal. And I need to bring that up because a lot of people jump really, really quick and go, pigs aren't kosher. And because they talk about how pigs were slaughtered on the altar in the Holy Temple when Zeus had taken over, and it was just the idea that like it was dedicated for our service to God, not for our service to Zeus. But there's a lot of fun things that happen with Hanukkah. It's not just this whole like what we're talking about, but I mean we have some fun stuff for the kids. We make I make foods fried in oil. I'm sure Fred has a good latke recipe.
Yes. And my mother knows it, and she makes them.
Oh, I thought it was go to store, get box.
No, fresh. There are no artificial ingredients in my latkes.
No, not your mom. No. I'm not talking about your mom's latkes. I'm talking really, really strong respect to your mother's latkes. I'm talking about your recipe for latkes.
My recipe is my mother's recipe.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any other recipe.
You're not giving it to anyone.
No, I'll tell you seriously what it is. It's basically, small batch. 2 big potatoes, 1 big onion. Eggs. Pepper, salt, fry. And
the problem is you never ask a Jewish mother how many eggs.
Also, it's not. You see, good point. So I give a recipe. Basically, I didn't give quantity, weights. I was like, you take 2 potatoes, you take some onion. You know how much.
And you blend it together. And this is actually when I have this problem when I'm giving recipes too. I'm like, no, you'll just know when it feels right. So.
Exactly.
You put in like whatever amount of flour or matzah meal to just get that right consistency, and you just know when it feels right. Yeah. And that's about. But basically. I mean, are you team applesauce or team sour cream?
I am a purist. Nothing.
Okay. What about you? Applesauce or sour cream?
Okay, come on, talk it. Say something already.
Say something.
Prove that you actually exist and you're actually here.
All right.
Yay, he's here, existing. Yay.
I actually don't mind either.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he's basically being non-committal on the radio. Nobody knows who you are. You're being non-committal.
Well, actually, what where I am with it. Okay, where I am with it is if I'm having a meat meal, then obviously applesauce is the way to go. There's no conversation about it. My kids are more sour cream.
You know, in the past, I played a song, Applesauce and Sour Cream by the Levies, but I'm not going to play it today. Only because I got to figure out the YouTube rules for what I'm allowed to put for music and not allowed to put for music. So I don't know.
God willing, we'll get to that at some point. Another thing that a lot of people like to eat during Hanukkah are sufganiyot, which are donuts. And we've talked about in previous years how in Israel, the donuts are getting more and more blinged out. In Israel, you're getting things on top of things, and then the donuts are getting piled high. And I'm just very old school. I'm just used to the donut, and you just kind of bite into it, and out squirts some strawberry jelly. I'm very boring, but it's a different. It's I was trying to describe sufganiyot to people, and I was like, well, it's a jelly donut, but it just feels different.
Yeah, there is, by the way, just so people know, kosher bakeries, they all have donuts, usually the whole year, and there's even a kosher donut shop in Cleveland, and they do make. Okay, in general, the donuts for Hanukkah, they're filled. But the funny thing is that, you see, it's kind of like, kind of backwards-ish, because, you buy those pastries that are factory made, they put a hole in top, and they put the cream in the middle, and they cover it over with. But in a donut shop, they tend to put the jelly in through the side.
Right.
But on a Jewish holiday, we put it right through the middle to the top. Why? I don't know.
We have to get an old Jewish mama on here to ask.
But I will tell you one thing. In Israel, for example, the donut varieties are just out of this world. I mean, for example, you'll have watermelon, you'll have kiwi, strawberry. You'll have great combinations.
Three
of things.
types of chocolate.
Yeah. Now, I know that one local store, I'm not going to say which, had a sushi donut.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, no, it actually depends. If you're talking about a ball of rice and it's just shaped in a donut, like I saw at a store recently, there was something called a sushi taco. It actually looked quite intriguing. It was, I thought it was like rice paper, but it was the idea of like it was a flour tortilla and in there were the toppings for sushi. That's not completely terrible. I just don't want sushi mixed in with my donut.
But if you want to see if have fun, you can look up Hanukkah Israel donut. You'll see all kinds of crazy combinations that I can't even imagine right now. Just absolutely wild combinations. Some are even made with adult beverages.
Well, that's why I called them the blinged out sufganiyot.
Yeah.
It's because they're just so fancy.
Oh, yeah. They'll be
so
amazing. The toppings, the fillings.
It's not your grandmother's sufganiya. That's
Not
for
a
sure.
chance. Not a chance. It's really fun stuff.
But so anyway, it's a fun holiday, but I mean, it's not our Christmas. This is our
please,
point.
yeah. And please, don't give gifts for Hanukkah. Who gets gifts for Hanukkah? The little kids. They might get a toy. The little kids.
We're just trying to keep them excited.
Yeah. That's all.
I mean, actually, my mother-in-law still sends us a check every year for Hanukkah gelt. I'm not gonna tell my mother-in-law to like stop sending me that.
And what's Hanukkah gelt? Hanukkah gelt is basically coins, that's chocolate-filled, foil-wrapped chocolate coins.
Yeah, I mean, actually, my mother-in-law is also listening. So no, please, we still appreciate the check.
You know what's funny is that somebody asked a question on this large online store about how many coins per bag. When I was a kid, it was about 10. Now it's like 3.
No, it's not. It's more than 3.
I have a bag at home which is 3.
About 6.
Really? The ones I had are 3 in them.
It was 3?
Yeah, the one I have.
Well, no, I think it also depends on the size because I also bought several boxes of coins to take to school.
Okay.
So that the kids can experience gelt. And I got the milk chocolate. My daughter got very mad at me because I was threatening to get the silver ones. The silver ones are the non-dairy bittersweet chocolate, and a lot of kids don't like that. And actually this year I saw white chocolate gelt for a change, which my other daughter likes because she doesn't like chocolate. But the whole point is that I think it's depending on the brand. I think the bigger packages might have up to the 10 coins. So.
10 coins. But I haven't seen that in a long time. But either way, it's a fun holiday. We like to have fun for Hanukkah. And like I said, I got a couple of pet peeves in this one here. Please don't confuse it with Christmas, and don't make, we'll call it a holiday party. No, it's your holiday. Please celebrate your holiday. You do not need to include us. In fact, we'd appreciate if you wouldn't. Just enjoy your holiday. Don't feel you have to make us special by including us in our minor holiday in your major holiday.
Yeah, please. It's fine. We're good. We're happy. And we just move on with life after the end of Hanukkah.
Exactly. And by the way, when Hanukkah's over, we put everything away. Hanukkah is not something we celebrate for a long time. We don't set up early. Usually what happens is the day that before the evening where we light the candles, that's when we start looking, hey, where's the menorah? Do you have one? Where is it? I don't know. Here it is.
Well, every year we have the panic that we forgot to clean the wax off the menorahs from the previous year. So then they're sitting in my oven with the wax melting.
Yeah, we're too lazy. Anyhow, that said, it's time to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Well, first candlelight time, of course. Because candlelight time for tonight. Wow, I can't believe.
Yes.
November 26th? I can't read from here.
Is you're going to light candles no later than 4:42 p.m. and Shabbat's going to end no earlier than 5:44 p.m. Now, on Hanukkah Sunday night, we light candles after it gets dark.
So we do Hanukkah candles first and then the Shabbat candles.
Well, that's next week, but I'm talking about Sunday night starting except for Shabbat, we will light the candles once it gets dark.
And with that, Sunday night is Hanukkah, and now back to
the Heights.
Shabbat Shalom.
WJCU, University Heights.